Hi, my name is Mia and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to another book review video. Right here I got most of the books, but not all, that I read throughout the month of March. I also listened to some audiobooks that I'm going to talk you through. Without further ado, let me tell you about all these books and what I thought of them, and maybe inspire you to pick up some of these yourself in the future. Now, I'm going to start out with some poetry. I picked up these 3 poetry collections this month. And yeah, the first one is really short and snappy. It's only got 35 pages, so 35 poems. It's called The Orange and Other Poems by Wendy Cope. And even though it is very short, it really does pack some beautiful poems all about love and life. And yeah, it switches between like pretty witty and funny poems to more serious and sentimental ones as well. So yeah, I think this is great work and I'm glad I got a little taste of Wendy Cope's work in this book. Next up we have Old Monarch by Courtney Marie Andrews, which is a poetry collection I found in one of our local bookstores. And I'm so glad I found it and I picked it up because these were some beautiful poems where Courtney Marie Andrews kind of captures her experience of traveling the country, the US, but also abroad, and she connects her observations of nature and traveling with her inner emotional world. And yeah, I thought these were really beautiful. I marked a lot of pages here because a lot of these poems really resonated with me. And yeah, online I really couldn't find many reviews about this, so it must not be very well known. So yeah, now you heard it from me. I really enjoyed this poetry collection. Next up, I picked up another poetry collection by Sandra Cisneros. This one's called Loose Woman, and once again, this collection just packs culture from both the US and Mexico, but mainly it focuses on the female experience and yeah, the female body, female sexuality, all these things. And yeah, I mean, just really powerful, raw poetry. I've really enjoyed everything that I've read by Sandra Cisneros so far. And moving on to probably her most known work, is called The House on Mango Street, which is a novel set in Chicago, and it kind of follows the life of a Latina immigrant, and we get these really tiny short chapters which are kind of vignettes of this girl's life. And yeah, we get to learn a lot about her experience, about the way she grew up. And yeah, I mean, this one is basically a classic by now, so I'm sure you've heard of it. Yeah, it is a classic for good reason. Next up, we got Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, and I found this in one of the free little libraries around my neighborhood, and I've heard a lot about it. A lot of people really love this book, so I was glad that I got to read it. I will say, I don't fully understand the hype. Don't get me wrong, it's really well written. The characters are described pretty realistically, not very likable, but that's that's another point. It is now also a TV show on Hulu, which I think is a very appropriate format for this because it really reads like kind of this like drama TV show, really. It's about these college students who get involved with a quite famous married couple and like all of the different relationships within that group. I'm glad I found it in a free little library and didn't have to spend my own money on it. It's not a bad book, but also, I will say, a bit overhyped. In my opinion, of course. Now, next up we have The Bee Sting by Paul Murray, and I've been wanting to read this book since it came out in 2023, and this is a big one. It's 642 pages and pretty small print as well, and it just packs this really interesting family story. It's set in Ireland around the recession, and you get a really good insight into every single family member. You get the dad, the mom, the teenage daughter, and adolescent son. It talks about their failing family business, which is a car dealership, of course. during a recession, people don't have money to spare. Talks about the environmental implications and kind of the conflict with the family business in that regard as well. So really, really interesting story. I will say though that I found the first part of this book to be quite slow. I think a lot of these things could have been said with, much fewer words, but the book definitely picks up throughout, and especially the second half I thought was just phenomenal. We get such interesting backstories on all of the characters. Every character is kind of flawed in their own way, but it's written with a lot of sympathy and compassion. And in the end, it kind of all comes together in this climax, which we don't really get any answer to though. The story just ends very abruptly without a proper ending. So you're left with a cliffhanger and no answers to all of the many questions that you will have. So if you're a fan of open endings, then you might like this. I usually like open endings, but this was too much even for me. Cliffhangers are kind of a theme throughout this book. Every chapter kind of ends on a cliffhanger, which makes you want to continue reading so you figure out how the situation unfolds. But all in all, a solid book. I really enjoyed this one. Now, next up, another book that I've been meaning to read since 2023 and finally got around to is The Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. Another book that is set in Ireland, in Dublin, and it talks about this dystopian scenario where government that turns to tyranny oppresses its people, and just a lot of heavy political stuff that might or might not be pretty relevant right now for the current political climate as well, unfortunately. With this book I kind of had the opposite complaint, in that this one kind of moved a little too quickly for me at first. So it was a little bit difficult to follow the story, but it slowed down to the perfect pace later on, and I think what really makes this book special is the writing. The writing is incredible. It reads like poetry. Every line is so beautifully crafted in here. Definitely deserved the Booker Prize in 2023, and an incredible read. Now I'm gonna switch over to some audiobooks that I read. So we got a bit of lightning and thunder going on out there. So the first audiobook that I read this month was called Evenings and Weekends by Oisin McKenna, and this is a novel that plays over the course of one weekend in London, and you follow these different characters throughout their weekend. They're all young adults in their 20s and 30s, and it just really portrays the messiness of life, the messiness of relationships, and I thought it was incredibly written. It was very entertaining. I will say though that there were too many characters, so it was a little bit hard to keep track of every individual person. I had to read this book twice, and even then I got confused sometimes about the characters. Maybe it would have been better to read as a physical copy so you can keep better track of it, but all in all, I really enjoyed that book. Another book that I listened to this month is actually a reread for me, and it's called On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. And if you've ever read anything by Ocean Vuong, then you know that his writing is out of this world. It is so beautiful. Again, everything reads like poetry. His observation and metaphors that he writes down are just gorgeous. But also the story is really, really powerful and impactful. It basically follows the life of the son of Vietnamese immigrants to the northeast of the US. But I don't want to tell you too much more about it because you just have to read it for yourself. Ocean Vuong's new novel comes out in May, and I'm so excited for it just because everything I read by him so far has been absolutely incredible. Alright. The last audiobook that I listened to is called Attached by Amir Levine, and Attached is all about attachment within relationships. There's basically 3 different types of attachment, and the author really goes into detail about every type of attachment and how it impacts your relationships in your life. Another book on relationships that I read this month is called How to Love Better by Yung Pueblo. And yeah, he basically talks about his own experience of his relationship with his wife and the things that really helped him find a good, peaceful, beautiful connection and relationship with his wife. The reason I read those 2 books is because March was my husband's and mine 8th year anniversary. I think both of these books, How to Love Better and Attached, are great resources to learn more about relationships and how to better your relationships with your loved ones. And that concludes the video. Those are all the books that I read in the month of March. Let me know what your favorite reads of this month have been in the comments down below. And yeah, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And until then, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you then.